Hi, gang. It's great to have everybody here. We're super excited about this evening. This event should be being simulcast on the Pulpwood Academy, and this is sort of a co-fun bit with Main Street Reads in Somerville, South Carolina, outside of Charleston. We'll see if we can show you the sign. There it is, behind us there.
There it is.
And our brand new author for us, but this is actually his second book, so he's kind of an old hat at all of this right now. But his first book, this one, nope, first book, yep. Bobby Ether and the Jade Academy was a Pulpwood Queen book club pick, and he got to speak about it in lots of places, including down in Texas earlier this year in January, kind of before all hell broke loose. So then his second book, which we were hoping for it to come out in May, again, we kind of stalled that, hoping that things would get better in the sad race that we were in. And that race has turned into a marathon, so we waited till the fall. But this then is the second book, if you can see that. So The Temple of Eternity. And we are super, super excited about this book. As you're going to find out, it is getting stellar reviews and tons of attention out there. We're going to ask you once Scott starts his presentation, if you would, just make sure and mute yourselves. You can be on the video or not, that is your choice, but you can mute or stop your video from typically, depending on your device, but mostly on the lower left-hand side of your screen. If you have any questions or anything, there is a chat button function on here, and we'll keep up on what those questions are and break in and interrupt Scott when appropriate. But at the end of his presentation, we'll also then, once we kill that presentation, then everybody can, it's a free-for-all, and you can just start asking your questions, and we'll have some fun, and I welcome you all to absolutely put him on the spot every way that you can. This is trial by fire. So, all right, Scott, I'm going to get onto your site now, and whoops, actually I need to, it would help if I shared the screen first, because that would be a useful thing. Let's see. How do we share the screen from here? Share screen from here. There we go. And we are going to do that. All right.
There we go. I was going to say, we did trial run this. We know it works.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's fine. We're cool. All right, Scott, and then you just tell me when you want to progress through the...
Sure. This is obviously pretty much just what was up in the background while we're chatting away and waiting for people. But since we're moving forward, I think we can go past this. Everyone's seen the two books. Just real quickly, one of the connections why we had invited and Kathy Murphy was going to help host this is because of the book was a Pulpwood Queen selection. So again, I spoke down at this event down in Jefferson, Texas. She runs one of the largest, I think it is the largest book club organization in the world, right?
It is, yeah.
800 and, you think you said 850 book clubs?
Yep.
So she's been instrumental, and I want to give a tremendous amount of respect and appreciation to everything she's done to help make this possible. But yeah, her involvement with promoting the book club, this was supposed to be, at least in some part, a book club discussion for her members, for people who had read the book, because it is, the first book is a October selection, I believe, right, Sherry? It is a bonus book for the Pulpwood Queens for the month of October. And typically, I think they actually want to talk to the author after they've actually read the book, right? So the timing didn't work out that perfectly, but the goal, and I think we're doing something with them, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah, so we'll be doing things with them too.
But in any case, that was kind of the connection there. In any case, so we've got, this is the little bit of basics about the first book, guys. We didn't want to talk at you, but I wanted to go over just for those of you who don't know really anything about the book. The whole point, the reason I started writing to begin with was this idea of, oh, there's somebody from the Pulpwood Queen. Hi, Marie. Is the idea of blending traditional fantasy or contemporary fantasy novels with spiritual fiction. So I don't know if any of you guys will recognize any of those names, but those books listed there, Life of Pi, Celestine Prophecy, The Alchemist, those are books that had a tremendous impact on me. And quite honestly, the whole reason I became an author is I went looking for more of those types of books. And when I couldn't find them, my problem solver mind basically started looking and thinking and trying to create ways to make a story that I would enjoy. And that really is what ultimately led to the book. Um, at its core, that brings us to this. There's Paulina. Hi.
Hi.
uh, I want to say hello to you. We'll do it afterwards. Can you mute yourself? Okay. I think she's in her car. That's amazing. For so the second bullet point, the thing I wanted to make mention, if anybody doesn't really know that much about the book, was that I wanted to avoid the overt magic. I wanted to avoid dragons and wizards and warlocks. It's not that kind of book. The goal was to blend the line between reality and fantasy, between pure science fiction or fantasy and things that could actually be real. So that brings us to this concept of anima, which I incorporate into the book, which is really all about, it's a Latin word. It means breath of life. And the whole goal was to use this notion of spiritual energy, of chi, of anima, to create a realm in which more is possible than probably is in reality, but that isn't over the top fantastical. So that brings us to the third bullet point, which is the central themes of this book revolve around metaphysical phenomenon, not purely over the top fantasy. So things like clairvoyance, communion with animals. For anybody who's read the book, you guys are going to probably remember, the mother bear and the cubs. There's the angry badger. There's all kinds of examples of communion with nature. And then you have maybe more advanced type of stuff, telepathy, telekinesis, that sort of thing. But I try to avoid all of that. And really, it's mainly about sort of the last sort of things, the heightened instinct and intuition that we all have, but taken to another level that creates kind of fun scenarios in a fantastical environment. So we have a trailer. Before we launch that, the first book was, by the way, I submitted it to what we call the IBPA. That's the Independent Book Publishers Association. I didn't even remember I did it. And then they got back to me and told me we won the silver medal. So that was really cool. And we've been trying to use that as a marketing, pitch here. But winning that IBPA award is a pretty big deal, actually, from the industry, from what I understand. I just feel very grateful, very honored to have received that. And so huge thanks, obviously, to the IBPA for that award, and also to Kathy Murphy, again, for including me in the Pulpwood Queens. Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen this, we put together, with the help of another very nice, talented lady, Danielle Kohler, a video trailer for the first book that we're going to roll for you. So it looks like it got a little stuck there at the end.
It looks good from here.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, so for anybody who hadn't seen that, I think that's fantastic. I really enjoy it, just the music and all the rest of it. Like I said, Danielle did a fantastic job with that. But it's designed to obviously give you a sense of what the book is about. In case you can't tell from having watched the video, the first book is very kind of Harry Potter-esque, right? But it's designed to be sort of an inverted Harry Potter. So Harry, you know, tries to get away from his home and ends up in this place that is a safe place for him for the most part, with people he trusts and, you know, who look after him. Whereas my book is really kind of the opposite. Bobby ends up in a very dark and dangerous sort of place and doesn't know who he can trust. My favorite part of that trailer is that line where it says, you know, but this is no British school of magic. I start from sort of a Harry Potter type of place, a school of magic. But the goal, again, is to take the book in a very spiritual direction and go with those metaphysical themes, as opposed to the sort of traditional style that book, you know, that those types of books go in. So I tell you all of this while we have some of these, reviews that we got up. And again, I feel very honored and extremely proud of all of these reviews. They, you know, came in from some great reputable sources, and I just, you know, I'm very, very pleased. So that's what some of these folks had to say. Yeah, there's more. And we're going to talk about book 2 here in a minute, but this was, you know, these reviews were instrumental. And on that note, I want to mention anybody who's listening right now, who's read the book or is able, reviews are the backbone of an author. Getting reviews up on our website, you know, on whether it's Goodreads or Amazon.com or wherever you leave reviews. Reviews are really what the author community relies on to survive. So anybody who's willing to take just a couple of minutes, it doesn't have to be long. You don't have to be a professional writer to be comfortable. But if you just give it however many stars you think is appropriate and say, hey, you know, I wrote this because the guy told me to, or, you know, do me a favor, don't write that. But you guys get the point. It's a big deal to us. So I would appreciate it. In any case, that's what the critics had to say. And now we're on to the fun stuff. So today is the launch of the second book. And for those of you who missed it when we sang Happy Birthday to my father, we picked this day because it's my father's birthday today. Yeah, exactly, right? Amazon reviews. So my father, Ron, is on the call right now, and it's his birthday. And we decided that with all of the work that we were putting into this book, taking a little extra time and lining it up, because we could have gotten it out earlier if we wanted to. But Sherry especially has been really, really great about making sure that we got everything all lined up and did everything we possibly could to give this book, you know, as much legs as possible. So there you go. Today is launch day for book 2. And video trail. So I think we have the bullet points about the book afterward, right? So we'll watch the video and it'll give you the sense of what this book is about. So there you can see the adventure begins September 24th. Guess what? Today's September 24th. The adventure begins today. Today is the day. So I know we've had some people who joined in recently. I'll just kind of recap. I'm not going to recap, but just make mention that when we talked about the first book, I mentioned that the concepts of anima, of life energy, was sort of the building block. It was one of the fundamental aspects that I incorporated into that book. This second book, I added sort of an additional building block, an additional cornerstone to the story, and that is the reimagining of ancient myths and legends, which becomes a hallmark within all of my books. So for anybody who doesn't know, I actually have finished book 3. I wrote it quite a while ago, actually, and I'm about 90% done with book 4. And this idea of incorporating or reimagining ancient myths and legends has become a backbone to all of the stories. So book 2 is a reimagining of the legend behind the Fountain of Youth. So as you might guess, the Temple of Eternity, Fountain of Youth, it is a sort of a recreation, a reimagining of the concept of what it truly means to live forever. I think that's actually in the next slide. Am I right, Sherry? But in the meantime, Sherry's been also helping me work on submitting for all these reviews. You'll notice I'm flabbergasted, quite honestly. Maybe you want to speak to it, Sherry, but I've been amazed. We've gotten back, what, 6 now? Right?
Yeah, I think actually more than that, because a couple more came in last week. So yeah, I think 6 made it into the actual book, and then a couple more came in. Portland and somebody else came in. Was that San Fran? Portland and San Fran came in afterward. Yeah. And yeah, I mean,
San Fran, we got them on here.
They're on here, but I'm saying into the book, into the final book.
Oh,
remember
they
came
that's
in
right. Yeah,
post publication. When the book went to print. But yeah, I mean, to get that kind of reception, because usually, you'll have a couple lame ones and a couple, even Gatsby got panned. Right. So you'll always have a couple lame ones, couple bad ones, couple of good ones. And across the board, everybody is loving this book. When I got really, really excited is when they started comparing to Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson, because of course that's a monster series, and those readers are always looking for the next fun thing. So we're going to take that for a spin.
I went back through, Sherry, I went back to the reviews just the other day, and there's actually 3 different review sources that all made that reference.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it caught me by surprise, quite honestly. I've heard that the Rick Riordan series is considered to be middle grade. That means middle school aged kids, whereas my stuff is more for young adult. But either way, I will take it, right? I'm not going to complain about that comparison.
Yeah, that's the fun part of yours. You can definitely appeal to the middle grade. It is more for young adult. I've had a lot of adults that really enjoy it. We don't encourage it for the middle grade as much, just because we do deal with some a little bit more adult themes in there and stuff with, well, I won't talk about it. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but there's a couple of things that are kind of more adult that we don't want to be a banned book. So even though Banned Books Week is next week, and that would be fun. But
yeah, let's not do that. Yeah, in any case, we've had some younger people read it and enjoy it. As a matter of fact, the youngest person I'm aware of is actually on the call. That would be my niece McKenna. And I don't know if you want to chime in or type, but I think you read it at like 9, the first book, McKenna, when you were around 9 years old. And from what I know Adrienne Barr's son, Michael, started reading it at a young age. I don't know if she's on the call, but in any case, yeah, the point is, ideally it's fun for a younger audience, but thoroughly enjoyable by older. And I always make the comparison of Harry Potter for that same reason. It was, marketed to adults, but it's obviously full of young kids. So.
Yeah, and the kids, and again, just like Harry Potter, the kids are getting older in every book too. So
and maturing and kind of figuring themselves out and dealing with love interests and all sorts of fun stuff. So, in any case, so here we have sort of the same bullet point type of stuff I did with the first slide. So I talked about the reimagining the Fountain of Youth. Again, the idea was, there's nothing magical going on here. This is a reimagining of what it means to live forever. And I won't give away any spoilers, but I have gone in a different direction, than drink out of a fountain and make time go backwards or, anything like that. One of the fun things about this book that I, again, started to pick up and do with others, I incorporated a backstory that pulls in a little history, just a little bit of fun with the past. So I call it the ancient Mayan backstory, but it involves the Mayans during the time of the conquistadors. And we get a fun interplay, because part of what Bobby, I won't really be giving away too much, part of what Bobby is experiencing is he starts to have visions, and he's sort of getting these dreams of these spirits who have inhabited this temple. And so that's a really fun element of the story, that it's not part of traditional fantasy. You don't typically get that sort of thing, you know, in your major fantasy genre. But I wanted to incorporate that, and I think it worked really well. Sherry and Ellie actually really worked with me on that to make that come to life. Again, we get some of the same metaphysical and spiritual themes. So the idea of communing with nature is really big in this book, probably even more so in the first one. We've got, you know, a jaguar, we've got an anaconda, we've got a lot of time spent around, you know, the rivers and the waters in the Guatemalan forest. So all of that comes into play. And then one of the backbones behind this story is this ancient prophecy, this Mayan prophecy that Bobby is essentially, it's almost an Indiana Jones, if anyone remembers the Temple of Doom, when he goes to the village and they hand him the little crystal goblets or the crystal stones, right? You remember the Indian guy was like, "You're the chosen one, and here, take this." And he's like, "I don't want it." You know, he's like, "Take it." Anyway, had a lot of fun writing that sort of prophecy. There's, you know, I actually wrote it all out verbatim in terms of what the characters would say to one another, as opposed to just kind of paraphrasing. And it was fun to be able to to instill that kind of the expectation that comes from a prophecy, because, you know, the sense is it's going to get fulfilled, right? But how is he going to do it?
Well,
I found that to, yeah.
That gives us that epic quest. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
to have that epic
absolutely.
quest. Yeah.
Well, the idea of knowing where you're trying to get to on an, you know, as opposed to just sojourning out to do whatever comes your way, was a lot of fun to go, hey, we have these tasks that we have to accomplish. So all of that is embedded in the book, and I hope and I think it makes for a good read.
Hey, Scott, can you hear me?
Hi, Gail. Yeah.
I finally got through. I don't know, you know, I'm not a computer person.
It's okay. Can you do me a favor, Gail?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Would you mute yourself just for the moment? We're going to go through a couple more slides, and then we can all chat and hang out afterwards.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Sherry, you want to talk about the special gifts and how people go about doing all this?
Yeah, so definitely this is something that we're going to share on video with people and on a lot of social, but we definitely want you to share the news out here. And Scott, we've got an image up here of Scott's link tree, so you can check out Scott's link tree link. And if you share about this book and follow him on these various sites and things, we're going to give out free book club kits to anyone who wants them. And that's all you have to do is kind of share things. Because again, you know, with an author having a new book come out, especially in this age where he can't go on a physical book tour, he can't go and sit with book clubs face to face. And a lot of authors are going through that. We have several authors on the call that are going to have those same challenges, Carol and Joe. And so the whole plan is to, how can we get as close to a live experience as we possibly can without being live with the author. So one way is through these virtual events. And then another way is to make sure that we reinforce those virtual events with gifts for the book clubs. So we've created a book club kit that has some fun things like who would you choose of each of the characters to play in the movie? Yeah. And we're working on the movie. We're not going to say anything else about that. If Kathy were here, she might want to say a little something about that as well. But that's a possibility. And then we have bookmarks. So the bookmarks, they're really cool, oversized bookmarks. So they're actually very sturdy.
I don't know if my camera's active, but if it is, I know your screen's sharing, but if anybody has access to my screen, there's all the bookmarks, there's all the book plates. I don't know if I'm, huh?
Yeah, I can't see. All we can see is your hand, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're just seeing your hand.
when we get the screen back at some point, I can share all that. But it's
There you go.
exactly what you see on your screen.
Yeah.
The part that I'm the most excited about, Sherry, though, and I want to mention to everybody on the call, if you look in the lower right corner of the screen share, you'll see that is what we call a book plate, right? I mean, it's for anybody who used to like check out books from a library. They used to put these little inserts in there that you would like sign out. You took the book. We've done this, Sherry. It was an amazing idea, Sherry. I can't tell you. Once I figured out what the heck you were doing, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. They're little, guys that are like what, 3 inches by 2 inches
like
or whatever.
this. Yeah, they're like you used to have in your books that say this book belongs to.
And the whole point here, guys, is I can't get together with people easily nowadays to sign their books, but I can sign these little cards and they have adhesive on the back. So then I'll stick them in an envelope and I'll mail them out to you. So anybody who gets a book and wants a signature on there, I mean, here's an example of one right now if you can see it. Again, I don't know what the screen is sharing, but I just sign it and then stick it in the mail to you, and then you just peel the back and you put it in your book and you got a signed copy of the book. I love that. I think it's so, and I got a whole box full of them. So please email me your address. Tell me how many copies you want.
Second.
Yeah. And, and so that's fun. And then of course some bookmarks and the digital book kit and all the rest of that stuff. It's all super, super great.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there is more.
Just do this and we'll send you every record ever made and a Papil pocket. I'm kidding. But if you guys do leave a review, especially you book clubbers out there, and share this with book club folks that you know, because this is going to be a fun book club read. As a matter of fact, we have a young adult book club here in Charleston that's going to be reading the book next month too. I'm going to share this. But if you tell us that you just send us an email with a link, show us that you've reviewed the book on Amazon and Goodreads. And again, honest review. We're not telling you to leave a 5-star. We want you to leave an honest review. Tell us what you think. And then we'll send you a signed copy of the book that you can gift to your school or your library or book club of your choice. Okay?
Yeah, I love that. And I know Kathy would have something to say about that too, because she loves, promoting literacy and supporting our local libraries, and all of that is great stuff. I can't say enough how important that is.
Yeah, they need the help right now. All right, so we'll put this slide up for just a second so you can see that we have a bunch of different ways that you can go onto the thing. And I would you can go to this rscottboyer.com/view. The slides will be there, as well as a number of links in the videos and things that you guys can check out, okay? So if there's anything that you want to see afterwards, and with that, I'm going to stop sharing so that Scott, we can see your pretty face.
Yeah, well, I want to mention a couple of things. Yeah, you can go ahead and unshare screen, but first of all, with that slide right there, guys, can you put it back up for a quick second? If you, it got really bright out here and the sun is going to be shining right in my face. I'm going to turn around.
There you go.
So on the left side there, you see where it says find on IndieBound. For anybody who doesn't know, I mean, the vast majority of us nowadays, if you're looking for a book digitally, you're probably looking on Amazon, right? We all know that they're the big beast, so to speak. IndieBound, though, is a great resource for people who want to find a book from a local bookseller. So like Sherry in the bookstore she's sitting in right now, and that she owns, people find her using IndieBound, and that's a great resource. So we all know the convenience that Amazon delivers, and I rely on them for my book sales and everything that they do. And I don't consider it to be a one or the other, but I wanted people to know that that's what IndieBound is. They provide, you can put in the name of the book and it will search the local bookstores and let you know where you can find it. So if your goal is to support a local book store owner, you can do so. That's a great resource.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention is sort of what I mentioned before, but again, I know we have a couple of other authors on this call, and I can't say enough. The nature of this business, the nature of book selling really is word of mouth and is review. If you watch commercials on TV, you see car commercials, you see commercials for prescription drugs, you see, commercials for beer. those things, you can sell those things on TV and on radio. You know, you don't typically see a commercial for a book. You know, how many of you seen a TV commercial for Stephen King's latest book or John Grisham? I mean, maybe, but it doesn't typically provide the same oomph. It typically is not the best methodology or resource. It is word of mouth and reviews. So not just for my book, but for any author, guys, any author that you guys read and you like and you want to support, that's how that author will appreciate you the most. That will, you know, be the greatest compliment that you can pay them, is to take the 5 to 10 minutes, go on to whatever source you feel comfortable, and leave a review.
Yep, very, very true. Reviews are the lifeblood. And, you know, even bookstores, honestly, you know, bookstores do very well with bookshop.org, where you can buy your books online like Amazon, but the profits go to support local stores. IndieBound is great. But even bookstores do benefit from reviews left on Amazon, because we do get folks that'll say, "Ooh, I saw this book, but I wanted to come and buy it from you." So it is super important to leave those reviews on Amazon, thus the incentives. And I saw something in the comments that Marie is director of Cameron Public Library, and she'll get the teens to leave reviews. So we'll make sure that that we get Marie a signed book for the library too there, right, Scott?
Absolutely.
And Mom, if you still have a connection there with the Bloomingdale Public Library, same thing. We can leave a review, and we'll make sure and get a signed copy you can donate to the library there if you'd like. I muted Mom.
Yeah. We're gonna assume
You
that
can
she said
unmute, Mom.
absolutely.
You can unmute.
Yeah, because she said Bloomingdale.
Yeah, you guys got to unmute yourselves. Lower. There you go. Yeah, there you go. You're unmuted. Yeah.
There she is.
The head of our library reference department is Abby, and if you want her email,
Sure.
if you were to have notified her of this launch, she would have been
Oh,
involved.
that's great. Yeah, well, we'll get her the info for sure. Yeah. And this video will also be up on YouTube afterwards too, so folks can check
I mean,
that
or
out.
we can all
too.
just do
I
this
can
again
send
and,
it.
like, you know, just tell her, and we'll do this all. Everyone will meet back here in like 2 days. How about that?
Yeah,
No?
he's going to be doing this a few different times at book club. So yeah,
That's
they can
true.
do their own
That's
if they
true.
want one. Is the
But
library
for the
open up
record,
there,
I
Mom?
love that though.
I'm sorry?
The library, and guys, I'm asking because this is a library that my sister and I actually grew up in too, up in Bloomingdale outside Chicago. Is the library open up there now? You guys open? Yeah.
Usual hours, yeah, but social distancing, masks.
Yep.
You're only allowed an hour in there, and
Okay.
no free coffee anymore.
Right. All those things have gone away. Yeah, I'm not doing free coffee here, but we are doing wine. We consider this disinfectant. So
Yeah.
cheers to you, Scott. We're drinking disinfectant. Yeah. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
Water.
As long as you don't start drinking whatever that chemical was that people thought were going to cure them or like inoculate them against COVID.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
Thanks, Saul.
Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you, Gail. Guys, Gail's is a old neighbor, used to live around the corner from where I grew up in Santa Monica. Her daughter and my sister were BFFs, inseparable for many, many years.
Aw.
You're in Florida now, Gail?
What?
Are you in Florida?
I'm still in Florida.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And Jessica's back in LA.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I love she toasted with us. Did you see that? I love this moment. It's great.
In any case, so I think the last slide was questions, right? So does anybody have any?
Yeah.
And if so, I will be happy to try and answer them.
What is the age of your protagonist, Bobby?
He's 16.
16. Okay.
Well, and so it took me a second because the truth of the matter is his age changed, I think, over the course of the writing process. He got a little bit older. I think he's 17 at the start of the second book, right?
Okay.
He's 16 at the start of the first, and I think within the very first sentence of the very first chapter, we identify him as 17 in the second book. But again, for people who've read Harry Potter, it will follow a very similar theme. He gets a little bit older each book, obviously. It's not like, you know, the TV series that they kind of reset and every episode starts with everybody being exactly the same. He's going to be going off on some other adventures I can't tell you about quite yet, but he'll be getting, a little older, a little more mature, maybe having a love interest, we'll see. But he starts at 16.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Scott, this is Hal in downtown
Hi,
Los
Hal.
Angeles, and a friend of your mom and a big fan of hers, and I think you should keep her. So how old were you when you started writing Bobby? What possessed you to want to become an author? And what do you like best about it? What's the hardest thing? I know that's a lot of questions.
Ooh, no. I started writing, I was in my mid-30s. I was having trouble keeping up with the guys on the basketball court like I used to when I was younger. And I started looking for other outlets, and I was, doing other things. But the driving force really was that I really took a lot of value, Hal, from those books that I read. And we put some of them up, some of those spiritual fiction books that I listed: The Life of Pi, Celestine Prophecy, Siddhartha, The Alchemist. Celestine Prophecy in particular drove me to want to be more sort of in that world, to find a genre, to find a fictional place where spirituality influences characters and people change and act and behave and grow based upon. And again, it's important to understand, I don't mean spiritual in any kind of a religious sense. I mean it in a metaphysical, above and beyond the world that we live in sort of way. So again, using all of those examples that we put up there earlier, the communion with nature, the instinct and heightened intuition. So that was the driving force. If I remember all of your questions, one of them was what prompted me to want to be an author. Truth is, I don't think I really wanted to be an author so much as I wanted to write. And that was like for my very first writing class, and I invited him. I don't think he was able to attend, but my instructor, Ron Alexander, he said, if you're here because you think you're going to write the next great American novel and become instantly successful, then, I don't suggest you continue in my course. And that leads me to the answer to your last question. What's the most difficult thing about being an author? Is becoming successful. To me, it's reaching an audience. I call it shouting in an empty room. And my guess is, of all the people on this call, Carol might be able to really talk the most and be most well suited to address and Sherry, what it is to be able to build an audience and how difficult that can be. But for a lot of authors, I know the issue is you feel like you wrote a great story. You've heard from people who've read it how much it resonates with them and how much they've enjoyed it. But it's such a small percentage of people. The demographic is so small, and you're going, spread the word. Help me spread the word. We need to tell more people. And quite honestly, marketing is expensive. And books are not. The amount of money you make from a book is very, very little. And all the marketing efforts can get incredibly expensive. So it's harnessing the resources of everybody who's on this call, of friends and family and your community and your coworkers, whoever it is that to get people to help you get the word out. That's
now, Scott, you might be too young for this, but when we were kids, there was, the old Proud commercials, and you tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, so on and so on, and that's kind of how it works. But so I saw Vicki from Michigan on here, who's a pulpwood queen person. She and I.
Hi, Vicki.
Ah,
And she remembers Celestine Prophecy well, because when she and I read it back years and years ago, we hugged a lot of trees. We find trees wherever we were at and just hug a tree. Go hug a tree.
So I think I've owned maybe 4 or 5 different copies of that book over the years, and I keep giving them to somebody who I feel like could really influence them and change them. And I go, well, read this, but I want to get it back because this is like my 5th copy, and then they keep it. And so I currently don't even have a copy.
Now you can do that with your own book, see? And
that's true. That's true. But I wish. I mean, I'm not going to go so far as to say my book would have that kind of impact, but I do have the movie. In case anybody is ever curious, they made a movie for the Celestine Prophecy. It's not good.
Yeah, I heard that.
It's a very B movie.
Well, I think there's a lot more plot. Your book has a lot of more plot-driven elements to it. So I love that it incorporates lost legends. I love that it kind of sneaks in some educational history and kind of things without kids knowing they're being taught something. I think that's really fun. But I
That's
think
one
that
of my
it's so
tricks. That's one of my
fast-paced and
favorite
such
things
a
to do.
page turner that's what really makes it. That's what really makes it fun for the general reader. I mean, it's one of those things where you can't wait to get to the next chapter. There's always something fun happening.
Well, thank you. For anybody who doesn't know, I know there's a lot of people on here who do, because you guys know me a long time, but I've done volunteer work with various children's organizations for many, many years. And that, what you just talked about, Sherry, is one of my absolute favorite things to do, is to educate a kid, or kind of, sneak in some knowledge. You're helping them in some, without them even realizing it. They think they're just playing a game, but you're just having a conversation. The next thing you know, they've actually learned something. Versus you try and sit a kid down and say, okay, we're going to teach you something right now. They go, But if you sneak it in there, then all of a sudden they're engaged and they're excited and they're learning. But also your comment, I wanted to address that real quickly. So when I wrote these books, it was not just about having some kind of spiritual background. I read a lot of fantasy when I was younger. I have a buddy of mine who, I used to play basketball with for many, many years. And he used to come to my house and bring me just like stacks of books. He'd gone to a bookstore and he used to look for the series, an author who had 5, 6 books in a series. And he would go, okay, I've read the first 2 already. Here they are. You start reading them. I'm on book 4. And I read all of those great fantasy books that you can think of. The obvious ones, the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But I also read ones that, unless you're into fantasy, you might not know. The Anne McCaffreys, the Terry Goodkind, the Terry Brooks, the Tad Williams. These are all influences, and they have a lot of archetypes in common. And one of which is they're fun and they're fast paced, right? And they have the magical school theme going on with kids who learn about their special powers. But my point is, it was very important to me to keep that sense of pace that all the fantasy novels have, to write something that was fun and flowed, and not just be like, oh, here's a bunch of spirituality thrown at you and be a better person.
So Scott, can you talk to us about what you're working on next?
I can. My father, I think, was saying something real quickly.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Come on,
Daddy.
birthday boy.
Thank you. I feel like I know you much better now, and I wanted to say hello and thank you to everybody who's on. And I wanted to share a little insight from a parent standpoint. As some of you know, some of you don't know, Scott and I worked together for multi-years after he got through with school and he was trying to figure out what else he wanted to do.
Since '97.
Yeah. So we worked together for quite some time. And I'll never forget one of the days we were going to lunch, and just as a throwaway, he said, hey, Dad, I think I want to write. I don't remember whether he said, I want to be a writer.
Thank you.
But it took me off my feet. I went, what? You want to, I had no insight that he had that kind of interest or drive or desire. And as we talked about it, I went, oh my God, pick a hard profession to go into. Why don't you? Why don't you pick something that, won't eat you alive? And I can tell you that the ride of watching this young man work and design his craftsmanship and seek help from everyone, from his mother and our neighbors and his older sister to whoever he could talk to. He gathered more and more information. And I was just astounded at how many hours and how much work he, and I'm sure, it goes without saying, other writers commit to this profession. I have no tolerance or patience for what he does, but my standpoint is that I just am so proud that without him making, a lot of money or being successful, that he's had the commitment to craft a story that seems to have some meaning and resonance with me and certainly a few other people. So I want to just add the parental insight into the fact that, yeah, I'm just really proud of him. And I just hope that he's successful in what he does and continues to write.
Thank you, Daddy.
Here, here.
On that note, I want
So
to
here's
jump
the thing
in.
about being a writer. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Dear,
want
I gotta just say this,
real
Scott.
quickly. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. I just want to say that, when you find what you love to do, then you never work another day in your life. So
Right.
as tedious and torturous as some of it can be, I can tell you I've worked in a number of different industries, medical and publishing and sports, and there is no world that is like the world of book writers, authors, editors, book clubbers, readers. It really is. I mean, because you wake up every morning kind of just being happy about who you're going to meet and who you're going to connect with. It's got a connection in such a different way that so there's some downsides, but there's also a lot of upsides to it. So take it away,
Can I
Scott.
give my quote though?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, he has the heart of a priest, the dirty hands of a poet. There were bound to be trouble. I mean, hands down, I think I'm so excited to see where you go.
Yep.
Well, thank you. All right, I got a lot of loose threads I got to try and tie in here. First and foremost,
Right,
I don't see the disinfecting party doing a lot of disinfection.
Yeah.
Those ladies are supposed to be drinking. In any case,
We have to drive.
okay.
Well said.
To follow up on my father's comments, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm the middle child. I had an older sister, and I have a younger sister who lives out a short drive from where I'm at right now and raising her family. Growing up, I was kind of always considered to be the math and science guy. So, in every household, there's one person, you go to that person if you need this. You got the handyman in the family, you got the person who, my older sister, she was the person who the family went to if you needed editing help, you needed writing help. She was an English major as well as an attorney. She went to McGeorge Law School, which is where she met her husband, who's on our call right now. And she was brilliant. And Sherry and I have talked about this. She was always the person in the family that we went, you need anything relating to the English language, you go to Michelle. So I don't doubt at all that it took the family by surprise when I said, I want to write, because they were like, you're the math guy, you do the bookkeeping. You're not the writer guy. Like, you've never shown any creative inspiration. Like, I tried to play the guitar once, it did not go well. My older sister, she passed away, and both the first and the second book are dedicated to her, because she was an inspiration to me in that regard. Her love of the English language. She was a voracious reader, and she had a love for a lot of these same books and the same genres that I did. And for anybody who knows Michelle or knew Michelle, you can speak to her love for all of that. I mean, Lily and McKenna and Jeb, you guys had all that whole bookshelf with a lot of books that I'm sure she helped pick out and read cover to cover. So it wouldn't be the books wouldn't be what they are, and this would not be the event that it was set out to be if I didn't pay my tribute and my dedication to my older sister Michelle for everything that she did during the family. But again, I can see how I caught the family off guard, sort of trying to step into those shoes. She helped me edit, by the way, the first book. And this, Hal, it goes back to your question. One of the toughest things about writing, they say writing is rewriting. So Sherry is probably the only person who knows this. I went through this second book cover to cover 3 times, Sherry, in the final month and a half leading up to publication, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't take a second, think about that. Going through 300 some odd pages, 340 pages, going through every single word and scrutinizing and looking for it. Is that the right word choice? It's not just looking for typos, but that was crazy. I had no weekends. I was working 7 days a week, typically till 8, 9, and 10 o'clock every night. You have to love writing to be a writer, is the bottom line. Writing is rewriting. If you don't want to be at that keyboard, if you're thinking to yourself, I'd rather be hanging out with my friends having a beer, probably not going to go very far.
Jeffrey Deaver,
Thanks, Scott.
at Duke University. One year we were up there, and one of the kids asked him, so what's it like to be a famous author? And he said, it's like having homework every day for the rest of your life. There you go.
Which is why we don't have more authors. You sell it like that, you're not going to get many people. In any case, we're coming up on the 6 o'clock hour.
I know, but just tell us what you're writing. Tell us what you're working on now.
So the whole notion of reimagining ancient myths and legends really grabbed me after that second book. It really took hold of me. I discovered that I really enjoyed the concept of using a location as its own character, essentially. So the third book reimagines and actually involves a little bit of history and some facts around the Great Sphinx at Giza. And a reimagining of the legend at Alexandria. The legend of Atlantis. So I'm probably giving away some spoilers. Hopefully this doesn't spread too far beyond this room, but I basically started with the idea of what would it mean, what would it be like to have the city of Atlantis not be underwater like everybody imagines, that it was an actual place. How can you... Well, how can you merge those two things together? A place that's supposedly underwater, but not. And it took me a while, and eventually the idea struck me that instead of actually physically being underwater, the city is in a deep valley surrounded by waterfalls. And the waterfalls send up a plume of air that basically makes it feel like and look like you're underwater. When you're surrounded by all these cascading waterfalls, you have that sense of it. And so that led me on this grand adventure that once again ties in the ancient past, this civilization that predates the Egyptians, that ties in with the Egyptian culture and connects to the present day. And from there, every book thereafter has been sort of a similar notion of take an ancient myth and legend, reimagine it, create ties to Bobby's storyline, and let him go on this great adventure where he kind of discovers what these phenomenon truly are.
Very cool. Can't wait. Can't wait for the next one. Any other final questions, gang? If you need to
Question,
save the chat.
Did you say, Scott, that that second book is going to become a movie?
Let's hope.
If we told you, we'd have to kill you.
I think let's not kill Gail.
I haven't read the second one yet, but
there are inquiries. Let's just say there are inquiries.
We'll
okay.
Go with that.
Yeah,
I think, Gail, I'm not terribly involved in that part of the process.
Just say hello to Nicole down here. Scott's
my little sister.
Younger sister. She's been great support. She's been everywhere for him and for all of us as a family. So thanks for joining us. Where are your kitties?
Oh, there's Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Hi.
Sherry, if you want to see the darlings, that's my little darling little sister Nicole and the sweetheart children, Colton and Grace.
Hi, sweetheart children.
And the puppy.
Children, where's the children? I want to see the children.
Children. They're all for eating Temple of Eternity, hopefully.
Well, Colton's 8, Grace is 6. I don't know if that's in the cards.
Okay, Mom will have to read to them. Hi.
There's Gracie. Hi, baby Gracie.
How proud of Uncle Scott.
She's a little sleepy, tired.
Oh my God.
We're proud.
So guys, there are quite a few people on this call. I know some of you know other people on this call, like Donna and Melissa were talking earlier. I just want to say a huge hello and a thank you to all of you. I really don't want to feel like Christine Duchesne. I see you. I already said hello to my brother-in-law, Jeb and Lily. Paulina, I know you're still sitting in your car. That's amazing. My buddy Billy, who lives in my neighborhood, I can see on the call. Andy, I just want to thank all of you and let you know how much I appreciate it. Again, I'll give you the short spiel, word of mouth, writing reviews. This is what I need and what I live for and I thrive on in terms of the book stuff. So thank you, all of you, so much for showing up.
Thanks for coming, guys. And we'll be sharing the video on YouTube too. So Scott will have a link up on his site for that.
And if I didn't get a chance to catch up or chat with anybody, please send me an email. Sherry, maybe once again we can talk about, we've got all kinds of bonus gifts. So if any of you guys end up buying the book, and you want to get, you know, a signature, you know, we got the little book plates to put into the book, as well as the bookmarks. You know, maybe Sherry, you can just kind of plug that one last time so they understand how all that
Starting
works.
another Google spreadsheet. So you can email Scott. We'll have it all set up. We'll get everyone's name and addresses on there and send you the goodies that you need and anything else that you need from us to help spread the joy and the love. We'll do it for you. Thank
Longtime
you.
family friend down here in the right-hand corner for me. Andy, good to see you, pal.
Hi, Andy.
Good to see you.
All right, guys, we're going to shut it down now. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. You guys were
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, Scott.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yay.
Guys.
Happy birthday, Mom. Love you.
Congratulations.
Good night.
Writing,
Right.
Scott. Keep writing, keep your mother and keep your father. He seems all right.
Thanks, Al.
Bye.